Yeah, so you're going to be using a snell hook, which is these little hooks. They usually have like little points here at the bottom, which is like, I guess, to keep the bait on. And then you're going to be using these bobbers as just as an indicator of when you have a fish on, or when a fish bit your bait. So yeah, so you're going to get your snell hook. You're gonna put it in through this little eyelid right here, and you're gonna do, I guess is the you can use honestly whichever knot. I use like I guess I'm not really sure what to call this. I think it's like a Palomar knot, where you just you put it in through the little hole and then you twist it around like about 7 times. And then you wrap it, you put it back in through that little first loop, and then you just pull on it. Pretty much, that's about it. So like that, and you see the hooks right here. And then you're gonna get one of your bobbers. There's different sizes to these. It all depends, I guess, how big of a bobber you want to use, or I guess sometimes it even depends on the line. If you're using really small, like 4-pound test, you're gonna use like, I guess, the smaller bobbers. It kind of depends on what you're targeting, but I mean these medium ones is fine. So what you're gonna do is they have a little tag end over here, and then they have this right here which sticks out. You're gonna put your finger right on the bottom of this one, and then you're gonna pull this back, and it's going to expose, I don't know if you can't see it because of my finger, but it's going to expose a little hook. It's going to expose a little hook, and that's where you're gonna basically put in your line. So once you put it on like that, you let it go, and it's gonna attach itself. It's gonna attach itself to the line, and your hook's down over here. So I mean, obviously this has a little tag end. You cut it off. That's pretty much what I started using. So this little bobber has a bit of weight to it, but if you're using a smaller bobber, it might not have as much weight to it. You basically I start off using live worms. I would go to like Bass Pro or Academy, and I'll just buy a little cup of worms, and then I started using, I would put like bread or corn onto there for carp when I started fishing for carp, and when I started exploring different species. So I started experimenting with different stuff. And then when I started, when I was down in Laredo fishing for like white bass and stripers, I would put chicken liver. And with that chicken liver, you would basically, I mean, anything could bite it. I would catch cats, white bass, largemouth bass, stripers. Everything was biting that chicken liver. But I was using still the same rig. So it was, so this is basically gonna be on top. And then as soon as you get a bite, it should be like this on top, white, and as soon as you get a bite, it should like flip over red and then sink down. And then obviously when you don't see it, it's either a fish is like nibbling at it, or it bit onto it and it's taking it. So that's when you set the hook and you bring it in. If your bobber, if it's windy or you're having a bit of trouble casting because the bobber might be too light, or your weight, your bait over here is not heavy enough, then you could use these split shot weights. Here, let me see if it zooms in. Split shot weights like this. So you're basically, it opens up. If you pinch it, it will open up, and then you could put it near, I guess like halfway from your actual bait and your bobber. You put it on there, and you're pretty much gonna close it back down. Sometimes it's a bit of trouble closing these down because some of them are pretty small and they're hard to close down. You can always just get your pliers and squeeze it down, and it pretty much stays in place. So there is your weight right here, your hook, and your bobber. So that just adds a bit of weight to it. Obviously you don't want to put too much weight to where the bobber's actually inside the, like, underwater, because, you know, that defeats the purpose of the bobber. But just a tad bit of weight, just so where you could get get that weight to cast it to the, you know, the little hole that you want to cast it into, or, you know, a little spot that might look good. So that's pretty much it. So this is what I started using when I was barely getting into fishing. Honestly, it wasn't even too long ago. I was around 13 years old. I'm now 21, so this is what I was using. I was just, you know, that beginner angler using live worms, using, you know, bait, using actual, like, bait and live bait. So this is what I started using. And obviously you start, after, you know, you get the hang of this, you start, you know, instead of making the knot here, you'll buy a snap swivel, and then you start using different hooks, bigger hooks for cats, or you know, just messing around with these rigs. Sometimes putting the weight at the bottom and then, you know, taking off the bobber for cats, or it's endless. Honestly, you can do so many. You can do, I guess I've done also 2 hooks, you know, on the same line and the weight at the bottom. So just to have, you know, that different depth range, because obviously the weight will pull it all the way down. The weight will be at the bottom, and then I guess you'll have a foot and then that first hook, and then you have another foot and then that second hook. So I mean, it's not a big difference, but I mean, underwater you just have more chances of catching fish. And you never know, you could rig up 2 different things. You could put up bread or corn at the first hook, and then like a worm or a chicken liver at the second hook, you know, just to expand for different species. But yeah, I really recommend this for, you know, beginners. It's very simple. It's super cheap. It's like the most cheapest thing you can use, which, I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's just I guess to make fishing affordable. After this, you know, you start going into different things and different species that require different baits, lures. That gets a little more pricey, but I mean, if you're barely starting off and you want to catch fish, I definitely recommend this. This is like the way to go. It's honestly pretty effective. I mean, you can catch a bunch of fish on a simple rig like this without losing anything. You won't lose, you know, you won't bust off the hook, you won't lose the bobber. And these bobbers, they'll sell them for like $2 a pack of 10. The snow hooks, some of them come already pre-rigged, and these little split shot weights, they're pretty cheap as well. So I really recommend this for beginners. You know, if you're barely getting into fishing, I definitely recommend this this little rig right here. So that's pretty much it for today. I will be doing more little tips for beginners, and then more tips for like intermediate, and then like, I guess, you know, for what I'm currently using right now. I'm not saying like I'm a pro or anything, but it's just, once you've been fishing for quite a while, you'll know what works where, how to rig up, you know, certain plastics and all that. So yeah, so let me know if you like these little tips for beginners, because, you know, we don't all start off, you know, throwing big swim baits and all this. So we have to help out, you know, the fishing community. We have to help out those guys that are barely coming in fishing these waters. So, you know, we just gotta help out each other. So let me know what y'all think I should do next for these beginner videos. So that's it for today. I haven't really been fishing much. I've been really sick for the past, like, I guess 3 weeks, and I've took all these type of medicine, and nothing's been working. So I'm there struggling, but hopefully this little virus goes away and I'll be able to get back into doing some fishing. So that's it for today. Stay tuned for the next videos.